Hey everyone, this is Patchdown Bogad. I figured I'll do this video under the testimonial playlist, and the reason being is that this particular testimonial is not from someone else but my own. And the reason being that I find this one to be very helpful is because it was the biggest, the most monumental moment in my life. And mind you, I'm not saying that this dwarfs any other experiences that I've had with Satan. I'm not saying that. Because they all are connected. But this one is more pronounced. You know, it's like looking at a picture and you see a group of people. But you could tell that one individual is just more pronounced, more eloquent, stands out from the rest. You know, relatively recently, and you probably heard me say this a lot when it comes to my spell of manifestation of my prosperity. It didn't come out even when Satan said it was going to happen. Did Satan lie? Is he wrong? Is he actually fulfilling what Abrahamic religions say he is? What about the preconceptions of what you may think of Satan and the daemons? That's why I believe this testimonial is actually very important, because there's a lesson in it. And a good thing about this testimonial is that being the fact that it helped me, it could also help you to not only understand the nature of daemons, but understand your nature as well. Because the mistake that I've made for many years is the mistake that you probably would make. Hopefully it will not take years, but upon listening, watching this video, you pick up what I'm saying and you just don't make that mistake. So here we go. When it comes to this particular testimonial, for the whole entire year of 2019, I was saying to myself, I am well trained, I am adept at what I do, and I'm not in that mindset of being obsessive over my manifestation. And I meant that. And I know Satan meant that. But of course, he had a higher, a more beneficial plan for me that benefited me at the end of that particular year. Because during that year, Satan was teaching me a lot of stuff, numerology, and the list goes on, that helped me to appreciate that I am in alignment with my manifestation. It's going to happen. All types of stuff. I mean, all types of stuff. And I was really pleased with it. Even as I speak, there's chills going up and down my left arm. And where my tattoo is at of Satan himself, this particular tattoo, whenever I know Satan's with me, it tends to glow with that energy, you know, and it's just glowing right now as I talk about Satan. But it just helps me to appreciate that this testimonial is meant to be put out there for you guys to understand, because I was going through so much in that time. 2019 was more or less a very beautiful year because I learned so much from it. In fact, it was the year that I've picked up the gift of tarot card reading from Satan himself, and I appreciated it. And towards the ending of it, Satan was actually being very specific, or using specificity. He simply helped me to appreciate, well, it's not just going to happen in the month of November. It's going to happen on this particular week. And I thought that was really, really interesting, because when he made mention to that it was going to happen, I was flabbergasted. I was so flabbergasted by it because I've never heard that ever coming from Satan's mouth. Because it was just so unique, so transparent, so different. And then I remember doing a tarot card reading, or someone else was doing a tarot card reading, and this is where things get a little trippy. The tarot card reading was mostly positive, or half positive, and the other half was negative. It says, on one side, yes, you're going to receive your manifestation in the month of November. Then on the opposite side, it said simply that I was going to receive ultimate darkness. But man, did I just ignored the whole idea that ultimate darkness meant I wasn't going to receive, because, like you, I was thinking realistically. Because if Satan came to me saying that I'm going to receive, then that's what's going to happen. So ultimate darkness has to be something entirely different. But little did I know, something else was at work. Very dark indeed. Because it was, and even now, as I look back at it, it was ultimate fucking darkness. Hell, I switched that around and I call that personally my, I call it the great severity, because it was really severe, emotionally speaking. I was going through so much pain, emotionally. But the pain was needed. But that's me jumping ahead a little bit. But regardless, during that month, synchronicity after synchronicity, Satan constantly saying it's going to happen, it's going to happen. So regardless, I had no right, yet again, to think something negative is going to come about as far as not receiving. But then, like always, I thought it was interesting on how Satan teaches. Then, eventually, during the first week of November, he told me to do some shadow work. And I did some shadow work. I did some shadow work for the first time, and it was interesting because it was mainly about not receiving. That should have been the first hint or the first red flag. So I repeat, the first red flag that I had to work on was not receiving, because in my subconscious, that was bothering me, not receiving at all. So in other words, my thinking had to change. And for about 3-4 days, I've been doing that shadow work, and it was scary. It hurt, but I made it through. I acknowledged it, and I made needed changes. But then I was trying to think pragmatic, and I'm saying, why is Satan telling me to do shadow work on not receiving? Hold that thought for a little bit. And let's just continue on. We'll get back to that. As time was going on, again, feeling good that month I'm going to receive my prosperity, this manifestation. I mean, you talk about the works, full-on manifestations, all this good shit. I'm like, man, I know I'm going to receive it. I was in a state of knowing. I was like really, really good. And interestingly, when it came to that particular, it was like the week before I was supposed to get it, Satan again entered within me, and he says, there is no going back. I translated that as simply like, after you get this, you're just going to basically receive it, and there's no going back, because you can't go back to Christianity, which I wasn't going to do anyhow, but there's no going back on your word. That's also how I interpret it. And along with that, it was, my thinking was, being the fact that I was going to receive victory, I was going to be successful, then again, I didn't have to worry about not receiving. Then it came the week that I was supposed to get it. Then Satan entered within me again, telling me, you need to be responsible and accountable for your manifestation. Scratching my head, and I'm like, why is he? It's like I felt so strongly, but I tried to suppress it, that he's trying to prepare me for something. Even though I was telling myself it is victory, because otherwise, why would you appear to me, enter within me, and tell me I'm going to receive victory? But at this point, I'm getting two messages at the same time. It's like a yes and no paradox. So now I'm more or less confused, but I know like something was going on. The week that I was supposed to get it, I didn't receive it at all. So what ended up happening was that I felt hurt by it, but then I said to myself, what could I do to make the situation better? I went on a personal journey, because I knew of my heart of hearts, Satan is not a liar. And if he did purposely lie, that's air quotes, it had to have been for a reason, an expressed purpose on his part. I tried to look for answers. answers were given, none really seeped in. Because I started thinking to myself, what if I leave? Well, Satan helped me to appreciate there's no going back. Then it dawned on me. Each time I had a thought similar to that, I connected it to all the things Satan was telling me before this could ever happen. So now I knew fully what that meant. There's no going back. Then when I was thinking negatively about not receiving, it made a lot of sense on why the main objective of my shadow work was about not receiving. Satan was directly and indirectly telling me that I'm simply just training you for what's about to happen, to put you more in alignment to what you've asked for. And the worst of the worst is going to happen, hence it's called ultimate fucking darkness, the great severity. And I didn't receive it at that particular time. But it was ongoing, because he kept encouraging me not to give up on myself, not to give up on him, not to give up on the manifestation itself. Don't give up. Get back up. Do it again. Many other lessons ensued. I can't name it all, but it was enough where I had to make needed changes in my life. You know, even if Satan didn't tell me directly what those needed changes were, I know I changed on my own. Like, I became a lot more stricter with myself and a lot more pragmatic instead of just believing for the sake of believing. But I've learned so much. And then it took about a month or so in January where I lost my job. Satan then tell me, hey, look, I'm just aligning you with your manifestation. At that point, I have gotten over a lot of hurt, a lot of pain, but I understood why it was needed to get me to where I'm at now, currently making this video. You probably seen my video, there's success and failure, and perhaps even watched and listened to a lot of my other testimonials. But it's because it's all relative, to me that is, and it's real. And it's something that I had to go through to actually understand that Satan is not in the giving business. You teach a man to fish, you know the rest of that parable, right? And he didn't just give it to me. He taught me. Taught me how to manifest. Directed me to groups of people, you know, to understand what that is. The technique behind it. I've learned so much through that particular failure. And to know that, no, it did not stop completely, or he wasn't going to do his end of the bargain, otherwise why would he agree to it? But everything just made sense at the very ending. You know, you really have to trust your daemon, your guardian angel, in order to actually allow all these things to fall into place. I mean, after all, he's taking my job away. Simply telling me I am the causality, but he helped me to appreciate something about that too. It was a clog. It was like a blood clog. Something that did not work for my benefit. In order for me to receive what I wanted, he had to remove that job. He had to give it me a new life, a rebirth, like a phoenix. I had to arise from the ashes to become anew. On my own, I probably could have left. May not have been right away. But you know what? What I give Satan is that he gave me the opportunity to even leave. I remember when he told me, which I didn't mention in the beginning of this testimony, because mind you, it was a shit tons of stuff that he told me. He even asked me to forgive him. This is way before I've even actually experienced the the failure, air quotes failure. And again, I'm saying to myself, why are you asking me to forgive you? Now, of course, Satan's not apologizing or asking for forgiveness because he's sorry for teaching me. He's sorry for teaching me through darkness. No, that's not how Satan works. He's not apologizing. But he's apologizing because he knows me very well, I took it personal. That's why it's always best that when you come into the left-hand path, you're working with darker spirits. Don't take things personally. Put your emotion out of it. Look at the other individual as someone doing their job, and their job only. It was my mistake by taking it too personal. So I can understand why he cared enough to say, Spence, forgive me. You don't have to stay on the left-hand path if you don't want to. It was very kind of him to do that. The fact that he saw on a human level that people would leave after experiencing month in and out, or every week within the month rather, that if he's giving me a mixed message, the person's going to end up leaving. Because how would any female like it if I wanted to date her and I gave her mixed messages throughout the whole entire month? It wouldn't be so advantageous, but the fact that he understood the human mind, how I work, it touched me. In fact, it was one of the first shifts that I have to tell you that it changed everything. Every other shifts did too, but this one was astronomical because he taught me that last quality that was needed. And that was pride. And I spoke about this before. And that pride was very important for me. And that's in one of my spiritual lessons that you could check out within this channel, that I speak about pride. Satan helped me to appreciate that I need to love myself. I need to have more of a self-regard, because that's something that I've learned doing shadow work that I needed to work on. It was small, but it was needed for me to learn, to develop. And when I learned it, it made me feel good, because though it was small, Satan said, along with a lot of other stuff, which are very small, I want to teach you how to love yourself before I even give you that prosperity. Granted, someone listening to this testimonial will say, well, you know what? That's him giving an excuse, because if you say you're going to do something and you don't do it, well, that's someone who's not initiated. That's someone who is really thinking on the surface level. See, that right there facilitates the idea on why Satan asked for forgiveness and didn't give me an ultimatum, but asked if I'm willing to forgive him or not, because that's essentially how human beings think. See, people are not geared toward the darker side, where they will use dark means to prove a point. But you know what? I've learned, and I said to myself, if that's what it takes for me to basically learn and to draw closer to my manifestation, then so be it. I'm in no rush. Did it hurt? Yeah. But the point of this testimonial is the fact that Satan did give me answers to why it happened. He directed me to such websites such as paradoxes. That paradoxes could be confusing at first on surface level, but deep within, they're deep rooted with wisdom. You probably heard of, and mind you, this was a cliche, but it worked. It worked for me because Satan directed me to it, about Edison, how 10,000 times he basically created that light bulb, and then on, let's say, that last try, it worked. I mean, we would not be without electricity if it weren't for this individual. Or Michael Jordan, that he failed and was cut from the basketball team in high school. He wouldn't be where he's at if he'd just given up. These paradoxes taught me something very valuable. There is success and failure. Yeah, I failed. I didn't get what I want, even when Satan said I was going to receive it. Was it risky on his part? Yeah, because I could have left. But I've been in Satanism too long for me not to know the better part of his nature. Because even during that month of November, he personally put me in a locked door murder case. In other words, he got me to believe, this is him getting me to believe that, by means of sowing doubt, mistrust, that I wasn't going to receive what I wanted. I couldn't get out of that locked door murder case, especially if the feeling was not my own. But something did get me out. I saw the light at the end of that tunnel. And you know what that solution was? I had it to depend on the better part of Satan's nature. When I was feeling doubtful, mistrust, I simply said to myself, all I have when I have nothing, when I'm desperate, when I have no choice, I have to fall back on the teachings of Satan, the better part of his nature. And that's when the darkness just fled. It was almost as if the daemons all applauded me. Satan smiled upon me. Because immediately it was an instant feeling of positivity, like I feel right now. That I came off successful. Because it didn't matter how I viewed it as a human being with my limited knowledge, but I knew who my teacher was. It still is. And that's Satan. Everything is contingent on him. I mean, we are co-creators. He's help assisting me alongside Beelzebub and Karnak, and I'll get some videos on those two as well, because they are also guardians of mine, and they help very much so in this pact of mine between me and Satan. But you know what? I'm thankful. I'm thankful for this testimonial, because when I've been through all that and I've seen all the solutions to this one big ass problem, I became a lot more of myself again. Now it's just a matter of time of when I'm going to receive it. But you know what? The whole idea of Satan being a liar, out the window. Finalized it. The whole idea of it not coming my way, even if that wasn't the case in point, because I always knew that it was going to. But hey, if you're like me and Satan came to you, or any of the daemons came to you, and they said something's going to happen, and it doesn't happen based off of what they say, believe me, you start going back to the drawing board. Anyone would. When pacts go wrong, go back to the drawing board. Did you word things properly? What happened? You get the drift. So I did a lot of that. And going back to the drawing board, Basics 101, fall back on the better part of your daemon. Notice how they teach you. Notice the kindness, that they wouldn't just lie because they have nothing better to do. That doesn't make sense. It must. And I put my life on the line. Put my life on the line. That they do not do things without express purpose. They have to teach you something. They don't just lie for the sake of lying. They're not, liars. But of course, at that particular time, to be more realistic, because I want to give it to you raw, and I don't want to just sound fake as if, it happened and I went about my merry way. No, because trust was not broken, but it was almost shattered. My viewpoint of him was almost shattered. But I had to rebuild from nothing, hence the phoenix in my illustration. I had to been born anew. And now I'm a completely different person. More than likely, as you're listening to this testimonial, you've been through similar experiences. But hopefully, the final time that you could look at your particular daemon and say, is this person lying to me? Is he just pulling my leg? Is it just for kicks? Hopefully this video helps you to appreciate that on the surface level, it sounds and looks that way, it appears that way, but it's not. They're trying to teach you something. So please, as you look at this video, do know that things could be very contradictory when it comes to these demons or daemons. But keep in mind it's for a reason, okay? I know I'm repeating myself, but it's because that is the saving grace of this particular video, and it could be the saving grace of you actually staying within the left-hand path or leaving, because that's one of the number one reasons on why people leave, because they simply was too head bent on receiving. After all, I give myself some credit. It's not like I was thinking about my manifestation and I was obsessed with it, because I got rid of that shit years ago. But that's why I said it was unique, that Satan came to me and he told me when he was good and ready, he was going to tell me, and it still didn't work out. but I knew for a fact that it would, and I'm happy. Guys, fans, if you're willing to subscribe, it'll help me out a lot. Smash the like button so that I can make more content like this one. And yeah, because this is the testimonial section of my channel. Type down your testimonial in the comments section, and I could pretty much read it off of, a piece of paper, and I could actually put it part of my video. Okay, I love you all. Thank you, and thanks for watching. See you soon.